To understand border crime, you must understand who controls the routes. Along the U.S.-Mexico border, power does not belong to one group. It shifts constantly between rival cartels, splinter gangs, and smuggling cells. Every mile of desert, riverbank, or city corridor has value, and people are willing to kill for it. Mexican drug cartels operate through territorial control. Each cartel claims specific crossing zones, known as plazas. Whoever controls a plaza controls the flow of drugs, people, weapons, and money. Losing a plaza means losing millions of dollars, and often losing lives. Cartels such as the Sinaloa cartel, Jalisco New Generation cartel, and their rivals do not just fight the government, they fight each other. These conflicts turn border regions into war zones, with assassinations, kidnappings, and mass graves becoming part of daily reality on the Mexican side of the border. Smuggling routes are carefully planned. Some go through remote deserts where temperatures can exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Others pass through dense urban areas where migrants blend into crowds. The most valuable routes are those that avoid detection while allowing high-volume movement. One of the most shocking methods used by cartels is underground tunnels. These tunnels are not simple holes in the ground. Many are engineered with electricity, rail systems, ventilation, and reinforced walls. Some stretch hundreds of meters beneath the border, connecting warehouses in Mexico directly to buildings inside the United States. Law enforcement agencies have discovered tunnels hidden under homes, factories, and even restaurants. Each tunnel represents years of planning and millions of dollars in investment. When one tunnel is found and destroyed, another is often already under construction. But tunnels are only part of the system. Cartels also rely heavily on human smugglers, known as coyotes. These individuals recruit migrants, collect payments, and guide them across dangerous terrain. While some coyotes operate independently, most are controlled by larger criminal organizations. Migrants often believe they are paying for a safe journey. In reality, they are entering a system designed to exploit them. Many are forced to carry drugs across the border as payment. Others are kidnapped and held for ransom until family members send more money. Women and children are especially vulnerable to abuse, trafficking, and violence. Some migrants never reach their destination. They disappear, lost in the desert, drowned in rivers, or murdered by smugglers who see them as liabilities. Cartels also use stash houses inside the United States. These are hidden locations where migrants are held after crossing. Conditions are often inhumane. Dozens of people are crammed into small rooms with little food or water. Armed guards prevent escape. From these houses, migrants are distributed across the country, transported by vehicles, buses, or trains to cities hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Drug trafficking follows similar routes, but uses different methods. Large shipments may cross through official ports of entry, hidden inside cars, trucks, or cargo containers. Smaller loads are carried on foot or by vehicle through remote areas. Some traffickers use children or elderly individuals to avoid suspicion. Technology plays a growing role in border crime. Criminal groups use encrypted messaging apps to communicate. They monitor border patrol movements using lookouts and drones. They study patrol patterns, weather conditions, and shift changes. In this constant battle, law enforcement is always reacting, while criminals are adapting. Corruption further complicates the situation. In some cases, border officials on either side have been bribed or threatened into cooperation. Even a single compromised officer can expose entire security operations. This is why border crime is not just about illegal crossings. It is about organized systems, global demand, and massive profits. Every shipment of drugs that crosses the border fuels addiction in American cities. Every smuggling operation strengthens criminal networks, and every death along the border reminds us of the human cost of this hidden war. As governments argue over policies and politics, cartels continue to evolve, faster, smarter, and more ruthless. In the next part, we will explore drug trafficking in detail, including fentanyl, weapons smuggling, and how border crime directly impacts American communities far from the border. The Rio Grande River is more than just a river. It is one of the longest rivers in North America, stretching nearly 2,000 miles from the mountains of Colorado to the Gulf of Mexico. For centuries, it has shaped land, history, and human lives. Today, the Rio Grande stands as a natural border between the United States and Mexico, a line of water that represents hope for some, danger for others, and survival for many. At first glance, the river appears calm. Water flows gently through desert landscapes, reflecting the sky above. Birds fly low, and the banks seem peaceful and untouched. But beneath this calm surface lies a hidden threat. The Rio Grande is unpredictable. Its depth changes suddenly. Strong underwater currents can pull even strong swimmers beneath the surface without warning. During the dry season, the river may look shallow, but after rainfall upstream, water levels can rise rapidly, turning calm sections into deadly currents within minutes. Many underestimate this river, and that mistake can cost lives. The land surrounding the Rio Grande is harsh. Extreme heat dominates the day, with temperatures rising above dangerous levels. At night, the desert turns cold, testing the limits of human endurance. Water, shade, and shelter are scarce. Dehydration, heat exhaustion, and hypothermia are constant threats. Wildlife adds another layer of danger. Rattlesnakes, scorpions, insects, and other animals live along the riverbanks. One wrong step can turn survival into tragedy. Along the river, signs of human struggle are everywhere. Abandoned shoes, torn clothing, empty water bottles, footprints fading into the sand. These silent objects tell stories of people who passed through, stories of desperation, fear, and hope. The Rio Grande is one of the most closely monitored borders in the world. Border Patrol vehicles move along its banks day and night. Helicopters fly overhead. Surveillance towers and cameras watch every movement. Boats patrol the river, especially in areas known for dangerous crossings. Despite these measures, the river continues to claim lives every year. Rescue operations are frequent. Emergency teams search the water, often racing against time. Some are saved, many are not. When the river takes a life, it does so silently. No warning, no second chances. For border communities, the Rio Grande is a part of daily life. It provides water for farming, supports wildlife, and shapes local culture. Yet it also brings constant risk. Climate change has made the situation worse. Longer droughts reduce water levels in some areas, creating dangerous mud and sudden drop-offs. Heavier rains cause flash floods, increasing the power of the current. The river is changing, and so is the danger. After the sun sets, the Rio Grande takes on a different face. Darkness hides hazards. Cold air settles over the water. Visibility drops, and every sound becomes louder. Night crossings are especially deadly. Yet, despite everything, the river continues to flow, unstoppable, indifferent. Nature does not recognize borders. The Rio Grande moves forward, just as it has for thousands of years. In the early morning light, the river looks peaceful again. Mist rises from the water. Birds return. The desert awakens. But the risks remain. The Rio Grande is not just a river. It is a symbol of nature's power and human vulnerability, a place where hope and danger meet. Understanding this river means respecting it. Ignoring its dangers can be fatal. As long as it flows, the Rio Grande will remain one of the most dangerous and important rivers in the United States. Border crime does not stop at the border. Once drugs cross into the United States, their impact spreads silently into neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and homes across the nation. At the center of this crisis is drug trafficking, and more specifically, fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is up to 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Originally developed for medical pain management, it has now become one of the deadliest drugs in modern history. Cartels smuggle fentanyl into the United States in many forms: powder, pills disguised as prescription medication, or mixed with other drugs. Because it is so potent, extremely small quantities can generate massive profits. A shipment that fits in a backpack can be worth millions of dollars. This makes fentanyl the perfect weapon for organized crime. Most fentanyl entering the U.S. is produced in clandestine laboratories outside the country. Chemical components are trafficked internationally, assembled into drugs, and then smuggled across the border. Legal ports of entry are often used because of the high volume of vehicles passing through daily. Border agents must inspect thousands of cars every hour. Criminals know this, and they exploit it. Drugs are hidden inside car panels, gas tanks, tires, and even inside engines. Some traffickers swallow drug-filled capsules, risking death if one ruptures. Others use professional couriers who cross legally, carrying drugs unknowingly. Once inside the U.S., distribution networks take over. Drugs move from border cities to major hubs: Los Angeles, Phoenix, Houston, Chicago, New York. From there, they spread into smaller towns and rural communities. Addiction follows, bringing crime, overdoses, and broken families. The fentanyl crisis has changed the nature of border crime. Unlike older drug epidemics, fentanyl kills quickly and unpredictably. People often overdose without realizing what they have taken. One pill can be fatal. Emergency rooms and first responders now carry overdose reversal drugs as standard equipment. Every year, tens of thousands of Americans die from opioid overdoses. Many of these deaths trace back to drugs that cross the border unnoticed. But drugs are not the only illegal goods moving north. Weapons smuggling flows in the opposite direction. Firearms purchased legally or illegally in the United States are trafficked south into Mexico. These weapons fuel cartel violence, empowering criminal groups and escalating conflicts. High-powered rifles, ammunition, and tactical gear strengthen cartels and weaken law enforcement. This two-way flow, drugs moving north, weapons moving south, creates a cycle of violence that benefits criminal organizations on both sides of the border. Border crime also impacts local communities. In border states, law enforcement agencies face overwhelming challenges. Police departments deal with increased violence, human trafficking cases, and drug-related crimes. Hospitals treat overdose victims and injured migrants. Schools and social services struggle to support families affected by addiction. Yet border crime is not confined to border regions. Small towns thousands of miles away now experience drug overdoses, gang activity, and human trafficking connected directly to border smuggling routes. The border may be distant, but its consequences are everywhere. Technology continues to reshape drug trafficking. Cartels use social media and messaging apps to sell drugs directly to users. Payments are made digitally. Deliveries happen through local couriers, reducing risk and increasing speed. This modern approach makes detection even harder. Law enforcement agencies attempt to fight back using advanced surveillance, data analysis, and international cooperation. But for every route shut down, another opens. The drug trade is driven by demand, and as long as demand exists, traffickers will find a way. Behind every statistic is a human life. A teenager experimenting at a party, a worker coping with pain or stress, a family losing a loved one overnight. These stories are the unseen cost of border crime. In the next part, we will examine human trafficking and modern slavery, exposing how criminal networks exploit vulnerable migrants long after they cross the border. This is not just a law enforcement issue, it is a moral crisis. When people think of border crime, they often imagine drugs or illegal crossings. But one of the darkest and least visible crimes connected to the U.S. border is human trafficking. Human trafficking is not always loud or violent. It often happens quietly, hidden behind ordinary buildings, fake job offers, and false promises. For many migrants, the nightmare does not end after crossing the border. In some cases, it only begins. Trafficking networks exploit vulnerability. Migrants arrive with no money, no legal protection, and no support system. Smugglers use debt as a weapon. After crossing, migrants are told they now owe far more than originally agreed. Until the debt is paid, they are forced to work. This is modern slavery. Men are often pushed into forced labor, construction sites, farms, factories, or restaurants, working long hours for little or no pay. Their documents are taken. Threats are made against their families back home. Women and girls face even greater danger. Some are forced into sex trafficking, moved between cities, advertised online, and controlled through fear and violence. Many victims are minors. Some were promised domestic jobs or safe passage, only to be trapped in a system designed to profit from their bodies. Children are among the most vulnerable victims of border-related crime. Unaccompanied minors crossing the border are prime targets for traffickers. Criminal groups monitor shelters, transportation routes, and social services, searching for opportunities to exploit children before they disappear into the system. Trafficking networks operate across state lines, making investigations extremely difficult. Victims are moved constantly to avoid detection. Many are too afraid to speak, fearing deportation, punishment, or retaliation. Human trafficking is deeply connected to smuggling operations. In many cases, the same networks that move migrants across the border also exploit them afterward. Crossing the border is just one step in a longer criminal process. Inside the United States, trafficking hides in plain sight. A massage parlor on a busy street, a farm in a rural town, a restaurant kitchen working through the night. These places may look normal, but behind closed doors, exploitation continues. Law enforcement agencies face enormous challenges in fighting trafficking. Victims rarely self-identify. Language barriers, trauma, and distrust of authorities make rescue difficult. Even when cases are discovered, prosecutions can take years. Technology has made trafficking both easier and harder to stop. Criminals use online platforms to recruit, advertise, and control victims. At the same time, investigators use data tracking, financial records, and digital evidence to uncover networks. Despite these efforts, trafficking remains one of the fastest-growing criminal industries in the world. The border plays a critical role in this system, not just as a crossing point, but as a gateway into exploitation. Every trafficking victim represents a failure of protection, policy, and humanity. Yet there are survivors. Some escape, some are rescued, some find the courage to testify, risking everything to stop the people who exploited them. Their voices are powerful and often ignored. As long as migrants remain vulnerable, traffickers will continue to operate. In the next part, we will shift focus to border enforcement, examining the role of border patrol, detention centers, political pressure, and the human cost faced by both migrants and law enforcement officers. At the center of the border crisis stands border enforcement, a system under constant pressure caught between security, politics, and humanity. The United States Border Patrol is responsible for monitoring vast and often unforgiving terrain. Agents patrol deserts where temperatures can kill within hours, rivers with dangerous currents, and urban zones crowded with people and traffic. Their job is not just to stop crime, but to manage a humanitarian emergency. Every day, agents encounter migrants suffering from dehydration, injuries, and exhaustion. Some require immediate medical care. Others collapse before help arrives. Border Patrol agents are trained to enforce the law, but they are also often the first responders saving lives. Yet the system is overwhelmed. Surges in migration strain resources. Detention facilities become overcrowded. Temporary holding centers, originally designed for short stays, are forced to house people for days or weeks. Conditions become a source of controversy and criticism. Inside detention centers, migrants wait in uncertainty. Families are separated. Asylum seekers face complex legal processes. Children experience fear and trauma that may last a lifetime. These facilities are not only places of enforcement, they are symbols in a deeply divided political debate. Border policy in the United States changes frequently, depending on leadership and political climate. One administration emphasizes enforcement and deterrence. Another focuses on humanitarian protection and asylum rights. Each shift creates confusion for migrants, for officers, and for communities. Criminal organizations watch these changes closely. When policies appear weaker or inconsistent, smugglers advertise them as opportunities. They spread misinformation, promising easy entry and safety. Migrants make dangerous journeys based on lies. The burden of this confusion falls heavily on border agents. Many officers face burnout, stress, and mental health challenges. They are criticized from all sides, accused of being too harsh or too lenient. Morale suffers. Recruitment and retention become difficult. Despite this, agents continue their work, often unseen, often misunderstood. Border enforcement also relies heavily on technology. Surveillance towers, motion sensors, drones, and cameras monitor remote areas. Data systems track crossings and criminal activity. Artificial intelligence helps identify patterns and predict movement. But technology cannot solve everything. Cartels adapt. Smugglers find new paths. Human desperation finds a way through every barrier. Detention and deportation processes add another layer of complexity. Many migrants wait months or years for legal decisions. Court backlogs grow. Some are released into the U.S. with court dates they may not understand or cannot attend. Others are deported, only to attempt the journey again. This revolving door benefits criminal networks. Every failed policy, every delay, every inconsistency becomes a business opportunity for smugglers and traffickers. Border communities feel the impact deeply. Local governments struggle to provide shelter, health care, and law enforcement. Residents feel caught between compassion and concern for safety. Trust between communities and authorities is tested. The border is not just a physical place, it is a political battlefield. Arguments over walls, funding, asylum laws, and enforcement dominate national conversations. But behind these debates are real people, migrants, agents, families, living with the consequences every day. In the final part, we will step back and examine the future of the U.S. border, exploring solutions, consequences, and the question that remains unanswered: can border crime ever truly be stopped? As we reach the final chapter of this story, one question remains at the center of the U.S. border crisis. Can border crime ever truly be stopped? The answer is complex, because border crime is not caused by a single factor. It is the result of global inequality, political instability, organized crime, and human desperation. Walls, patrols, and technology alone cannot solve a problem rooted so deeply in human reality. For decades, governments have invested billions of dollars in border security. Fences have grown taller, surveillance has become more advanced, enforcement has intensified, yet criminal networks continue to operate, adapting faster than the systems designed to stop them. This is because border crime is a business. As long as drugs are profitable, cartels will smuggle them. As long as people are desperate, smugglers will exploit them. As long as demand exists, supply will find a way. Real solutions require more than enforcement. They require international cooperation, targeting cartel finances, disrupting money laundering networks, and controlling the flow of weapons. They require stronger intelligence sharing between countries and better coordination at legal ports of entry, where much of the crime actually passes through. Addressing drug demand inside the United States is equally critical. Addiction is not just a criminal issue, it is a public health crisis. Prevention, education, and treatment reduce demand, weakening the power of traffickers more effectively than arrests alone. Migration also demands long-term solutions. Stability in countries of origin, economic opportunity, and protection from violence reduce the need for dangerous journeys. When people are safe at home, smugglers lose their power. At the border itself, balance is essential. Law enforcement must be strong enough to disrupt criminal networks, but humane enough to protect lives. Border agents need resources, training, and support. Migrants need clear legal pathways, accurate information, and protection from exploitation. Technology will continue to play a role, but it must be used responsibly. Surveillance without strategy creates pressure without progress. Data must lead to targeted action, not endless reaction. There are signs of hope. Cross-border investigations have dismantled major trafficking networks. Survivors of trafficking are speaking out. Communities are demanding smarter, more compassionate policies. Some former migrants are now advocates, helping others avoid the traps they once faced. But the risk remains. Climate change, political instability, and economic inequality may increase migration in the coming years. Criminal organizations are already preparing, expanding routes, recruiting more smugglers, and exploiting new technologies. The border will continue to be tested. In the end, the U.S. border is not just a line dividing two nations. It is a mirror, reflecting global problems that cannot be ignored. Every statistic hides a human story. Every policy decision carries consequences. Every life lost is a reminder of failure and responsibility. Stopping border crime is not about choosing sides. It is about choosing solutions. Solutions that recognize security and humanity are not opposites. They are connected. The future of the border will depend on whether the world is willing to confront not just the symptoms, but the causes. This story does not end here. because as long as borders exist and inequality persists, the struggle between law, crime, hope, and survival will continue.